A-T. It's in the name.
Before we get started, we wanted to tell you about a project that's really close to our heart. We have written a brand new children's book called The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Divided Kingdom. This story uses adventure, humor, and imagination to help kids process some really big feelings that often come with divorce. It gives families a way to start honest conversations and helps kids know they're not alone. If you're a parent, grandparent, teacher, or church leader walking alongside a child through a season like this book could be a helpful resource. You can pre-order your copy now at benandtravis.com/books. That's The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Divided Kingdom, available for pre-order today at benandtravis.com/books. Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast. I'm Travis Creasy, the pulpit minister at Westgate Church of Christ. That is All Pro Counselor with Mars Hill Bible School, 3-Court Counseling, Highland Park Church of Christ. Ben Hayes, how's it going, Mr. Beach Dude?
Man, I am glad to be home, but had a great week with the family. A little bit of a break from life as normal, and so that was nice, but as usual, it's nice to kind of be back in my own bed and in my own place and back to a routine. So we'll see how that goes as the week goes along, but doing pretty well. How are you? I enjoyed the hospitality of the Creasy family on my way to the beach, and that was a lot of fun getting to hang out with you.
Yeah. Well, we're on the way now to Panama City, so it was good to check in and good to be this close to the beach, and especially the direction of the beach, which means we get to see people that we love and think highly of, and so y'all rank among those. Everyone but Destin, since she was such in a hurry to get to the beach, so she doesn't count.
She was really looking forward to that. The other kids were enjoying the playtime with cousins. So
I'm just kidding, Destin. It's all right. It'll be okay and forgiven. We're getting ready. We're rolling into Holy Week, countdown to Easter. I did a little, kind of in a roundabout way, did the cleansing of the temple, the triumphal entry. I kind of focused on the disciples asking for authority there, James and John, can we sit on your left and your right? And kind of how they posed that question. It's, we want you to do whatever we ask of you. Then you get old Bartimaeus, and he's, just have mercy on me. Just have mercy on me. Then you get into the triumphal entry, and they're saying, Hosanna, save us, King David, da da da. But there's kind of an expectation, like, we want you to save us this way, but not necessarily that way, because in a few days they're crying out, crucify him, crucify him. And then, of course, Jesus tells Bartimaeus, what would you have me do for you? And he says, I'd like to see. Will you heal me? And, of course, Jesus does that. And, of course, my little attention deficit brain, I was like, what could he have asked for? What all was on the table there, Jesus? But, kind of ending with, we come to Jesus for mercy, but we also leave with so much more. So.
Oh, yeah. That's good stuff. I didn't really intro. We've been working through the Gospel of John, so we just kind of stuck with that, and it kind of falls interestingly because next week is going to be John 5, which doesn't really start off with resurrection talk, but it gets into it as it goes along. They're trying to figure out why has he healed this guy, and he's like, well, I can kind of do anything I want to do. Including I can make new life, if you want that. And so that'll probably be our focus next week. This week, we kind of looked at the end of John 4, and we focused on the healing at a distance. And it was kind of about the faith journey too of, and you people don't believe because you can't see, or, if you don't see it, you don't believe it. And he goes, watch this, I'm going to do something you can't see. And it's going to happen, and then you're going to believe once you do see what has happened to this child. So it's definitely interesting stuff.
Definitely that comparison there. The disciples could see, but they couldn't really see. Bartimaeus couldn't see, but he could really see. Yeah. And then the fig tree, right? Like you won't ever produce fruit again. And then he goes to the temple, cleanses it, comes back out, and Peter's, look, the tree has withered. And he's like, well, trust God.
Yeah,
I
pretty
said it
much.
wasn't going to produce. It's not going to produce.
It's done.
Forgive, because God's going to forgive you. But anyways, if you didn't sign up for 2 sermons, you got
You
the
just got
short
a couple of them. There you
so
go.
there you go.
But you know what's great about this week as well, Travis, is it is the week of Easter. It is the week of Lads to Leaders. So that's always a fun time. I know you're not going to be able to be with us, but we are going to be set up with a booth doing some Ben and Travis stuff. So Jacob will be there. The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Worry Coaster, the Joy Rider, and some pre-sales for the Divided Kingdom. So we hope that you guys will stop by the booth and see us, and that will be an awesome time together. But there's still a third thing about this week that's just really special, and that is it is Travis's birthday week. So we get a
how
little
did you know?
we get a little Holy Week, we get a little Lads Leaders Week, we get a little Travis's birthday week. They all happen to fall on the same week this time. And so, as per tradition, we've got to do some Ask Travis Creasy Anything questions for his birthday edition of the podcast. And I got some doozies for you. I think I got some things. We're gonna learn some things. We're gonna go way back. We're gonna go, what is it like to be a child of the 80s, Travis? Because, Kenya showed me a text today, and it was like, when we hear the words, what was it like 20 years ago? Like, my mind goes to, well, that's the 1980s. I don't know why my mind still does that. No, it's not even close. It's like the 2000s, and it's like, come on, that's not even right. So, yeah, it's mind-boggling, but I kind of enjoyed being a child of the 80s, to be honest with you, and enjoyed getting to do much of the 80s with my best pal, who still I got to do the 90s with, and the 2000s and the 2010s, and now we're in the 2020s, and we're still doing life together. So so let's ask some questions. How about it? Let's find out a little bit about Travis's world. And this one's a fun one. This is the first one that popped up when I kind of generated some questions, and I thought this one's going to be a fun one. What did the perfect Saturday look like growing up for Travis Creasy?
Oh man, interesting enough, that the Divided Kingdom is going to be heavily influenced by some of the things I'm going to list. Of course, a lot of our dreams and fantasy land world is in those books where we get to be certain people. But man, a perfect Saturday in the 80s, it's cartoons, early morning cartoons, some dry cereal right out of the box, just 5-finger discount and those suckers, just popping them in. Cartoons, you get WWF, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday morning wrestling, and then you get some of the coaches shows. Like the 80s, folks, you didn't get to watch. I mean, you got told basically what college football games you were going to watch, because it was like 1 or 2, maybe 3 on a Saturday. But there was the coaches, the Pat Dye, the Bill Curry, whatever, whoever was coaching Alabama, Auburn, you had their coaching shows. And then the JP, the Jefferson Pilot game of the week would come on at 11 o'clock, or Breakfast with the Barn, as we call it these days. A little slight to the Tigers there, but you watch that, man. And, if Bama wasn't on TV, you're out front in the front yard. If Ben wasn't there, or another cousin or another neighborhood friend, I'm out there throwing the ball around to myself. Yes, I just said to myself.
Kick the ball up in there as high as you can and return
playing all the plays. I knew the teams that we played every year, which ones gave us a hard time, which ones could beat us. And I can remember Dad being out working on his truck or whatever he was working on. I'd be in the front yard playing everything that I heard on the radio. I was mimicking or reenacting. But yeah, so that's a good Saturday morning.
a good Saturday. And you know, people don't understand now that you didn't watch every Alabama game. Like
Yeah,
the reason that you and I went to a lot of Alabama games live was because we would go to the games that you couldn't get.
yeah,
So if Alabama wasn't on TV that week, Danny and Myra would load us up and we'd go watch them live. And then came pay per view, and we started doing a little bit more with the pay per view, but we'd still try to go to some games. And then, then it kind of was like, why go to a game? You can watch every one of them on TV now.
yeah.
And
That
so,
11 o'clock slot now kind of like a slight. I mentioned earlier the phrase "breakfast with the barn," and that's Alabama fans making fun at Auburn because their game would come on at 11. Of course, Alabama had plenty of 11 o'clock games, but back when we were growing up, the 11 o'clock slot was actually meant that you were playing an SEC school. Typically, it was an
yeah,
SEC matchup. It might not have
yeah.
been top tier Saturday night game, but it was still, you're playing an SEC school. And yeah, Ben, that just sounds like anybody listening to this that's, half of our age, that just sounds insane that it's not all on
Yeah.
TV.
It's wild. Yeah, that's just a wild deal that they're not all on TV. And I don't, but they weren't at the time. So I would say this question, but I know the answer to it. Were you more of a play outside till dark or stay inside with games? And I know the answer. You were outside most of the time. However, I'm going to follow that because I don't even think we have to ask that question too much. But I do know you're a video game guy. So, what's the first video game you remember playing?
First video game I remember playing, and I think it's because I was so stunned. I played some Atari. I remember Frogger. That's probably out the gate. I guess, Frogger or I forget if it was called tennis or, whatever it was,
Pong?
ping
Was it
pong,
Pong? Pong?
whatever, with the
Yeah.
little dot. But I
Mhm.
guess the one I remember the absolute most is being stunned that my little brother, like at 5 years old, beat Mario Brothers. And you want to talk about a video game guy, like Kevin Creasy was the
Oh,
video
yeah.
game. I mean, and he would like beat stuff, that I had. I don't know that I've beat Mario yet by playing the actual levels. I think I did all the skipping around stuff,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I loved, we loved all those. I probably, and as far as a system, I remember, I do remember the Atari, but certainly the first one that we played the most of would have been Nintendo,
Yeah.
the original
I remember
Nintendo.
when you got the Sega with Echo,
Echo the
the
Dolphin.
Dolphin.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy because everybody else got Sonic, I think, with theirs, and I got Echo for some reason. But
Yeah.
I always loved Sonic too. So, what kind of when it comes to TV and I'll put these together because maybe they do go together. What toys, games, TV shows were transformative for you, or were just like, this helped shape my childhood? TV shows, toys,
I
games.
think you and I were into GI Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Transformers, and those shows. They did not pull punches. They didn't really care about your mental health.
No.
Not that there was just a whole lot of people dying, but they would leave you on a cliffhanger. And once again, something that people half our age may not be able to connect with is the cliffhanger. Like,
Yes.
wait. The shortest amount of time we ever to wait was like the next day. Tune in
Yeah.
tomorrow to see if this guy, sinks to the bottom of the ocean and has breathed his last.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just remember GI Joe, that guy's face pressed against the glass as he sinks to the bottom, and like you just, well, I guess I'll go to school. It was,
I'll just go on and do
yeah,
my thing.
and we'll figure it out. And now it's like you just binge through them, and
Yeah.
you get frustrated at ads. Period. Much less having to wait a day, and even sometimes
A week.
months and
Yeah.
weeks and all that stuff. But I think toy wise, uh, we were big GI Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I remember your bedroom at, your mom and dad's, that was like war zone central. And, but
And you
yeah,
can't leave out Legos. I mean, we had
yeah, we
some
used a
massive
bunch of
Lego.
those, and I've tried to pass that on to the kids. When we first moved down here, we did it again, building the big Lego set and, hitting it with rubber bands till we
Yeah,
uncovered the treasure.
I had a lot of He-Man. I had a lot of Ninja Turtles, but I'm not sure I had anything more of anything than GI Joe. I mean,
Yeah.
that was probably the stuff. So that's
You had
true.
the Godzilla,
I
and
did
so they were
still
always
got it.
fighting off Godzilla in some shape, form, or fashion. You know that big? I saw one the other day on, I think it was on TikTok. The big, huge, like boat.
Yes,
Um, Man,
I
we were
had
both
the
salivating
yeah
on that. You had the big blow up.
yeah. Mine was like the inflatable boat that was huge. I mean, it was
Yeah,
big, but it wasn't the aircraft carrier. That was the
yeah,
one that everybody wanted, was the aircraft
yeah,
carrier, and I never got that one. It would have taken up my whole room, I
yeah.
think.
There would not have been a space. I mean, that thing. I don't even know. You
It
have to have
was
a garage for it.
It was massive for sure. So when you think back to that era of your life, who were your heroes? Like real or imaginary movie character or whatever?
I think Batman has always been a part of the equation. I just never thought I was that macho. It wasn't like somebody, oh, I could connect with Batman, and so it had to be Spider Man. Um, the nerdy, which that's the thing, and people are like, they debate. There's a debate on who's the best Spider Man, but then who's the best Peter Parker, or who's the best Batman, who's the best Bruce
Yeah,
Wayne, and I just have a hard time connecting with these Peter Parkers who are attractive. Like, Peter Parker is a nerd.
yeah,
Peter Parker is, to steal a biblical phrase, not someone you would look at and go, oh, yeah, that's a superhero. And, I just heard somebody say that the guy that, I forget his name, is a guy between Toby and Holland,
Andrew
that he
Garfield.
was the best Peter Parker. And I was like, that guy is like a model.
Yeah,
Like, every girl in the school would have been about that guy.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but I'm much more the comic book nerdy Peter Parker, and then the sarcastic
The
side of
sarcasm for
it.
Peter
But yeah,
Parker
the
was the best
sarcasm.
part. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, you know, uh, I'm not a turtle. I'm not a ninja. But I mean, we talked about this around Christmas. But Cowabunga, dude, like,
Yeah. Well, you were a selfie ninja once upon a time,
I
so
was. I was.
there's that.
SWAT, Skits with the Truth, The Adventures of Ben and Travis, making dreams come true.
That's
I've
right.
been Batman
All
in
over the
Skits with the
place.
Truth. I've been a ninja. So we're just getting to live the dream.
That's exactly right. So, what do you think kids today don't understand about life before the internet?
Oh man, to be able to entertain yourself, and the crazy amount that we were able, whether we were together, if we were together, it was over. Like, they knew the it wasn't keeping us entertained; it was keeping us from burning things down,
Yeah.
and hurting ourselves or someone else. But even when we were apart, we could entertain ourselves. Like, we didn't need the screen, and that's not me being judgmental because I'm as hooked as anybody on the screen. But we could get lost in our own little world, and once again, that's where the adventures of Ben and Travis come from. A lot of that imagery is because, hey, I've always wanted to be in the A team, so let's take a spin at that. Or, but yeah, and uh, we didn't need the specific thing. I mean, like you said, the little wiffle ball bat was everything. It
Hmm.
was the proton pack Ghostbuster. It was the bazooka, the rifle, uh, the lightsaber. Which, if somebody would have handed us all that stuff, we'd have gladly taken it. We just didn't need it
Absolutely.
to have a good time.
We could find a way without it. So, how did you communicate before the cell phones?
Well, I kind of think that the dating world has suffered a great loss. And maybe that's just me being an old man. But if I got rejected, I got rejected to my face, like a real man. And as you well know, Ben, I was not fearful to go and let my feelings be known,
That is
but I
true.
was also quick to move on as well. If you rejected me, I didn't dwell too much on it. But man,
Or in
there's
a
an art
note
to it.
form, like a check yes or no kind of thing.
Yes, there's an art form to it that I think is lost, and that's just communicating with people, whether you have an interest in them or not.
That's true.
It's amazing how much there are people out there who fear the older generation, but how much of that fear and lack of communication would be corrected just by looking them in the eye and being respectful.
And there was something too about the courage to call a house number.
Yes.
And
I don't
you
know
had
who's going to answer that phone. Is it going to be
no
her
idea.
dad? Is it going to be her mom?
Is it a dad that's going to be like, who is this? Or is it a mom who's going to ask questions? Or is it a little sister or brother who then you're going to get berated by a 10-year-old or whatever? I mean, you just don't ever know. And so it was like this Russian roulette of dialing a phone number and wondering, what's on the other end, hoping that the person you're calling got to the phone before another family member did.
And there was only so much distance you could get
That's
from
right.
your family to where they wouldn't overhear the entire conversation. So you took that cord and you spread it as far as you
Stretched
could.
it as far as it could and pinched it between the door. And then, of course, we got cordless phones and
Yes.
then, of course, cell phones at some point.
Shout out to you, Zach Morris.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So
I can imagine being you, Ben, and having a sensitive conversation with Kurt Hayes in the house,
or
and at
Dale.
times, I guess Dale.
Yeah, it was a little. Dale was kind of gone by the time I was having too many sensitive conversations, but yeah, that was a little
What a
odd.
blessing.
It was too, I guess. I mean, by the time I was 15, 14 or 15, and starting the dating process, I was kind of an only child at the house, so that was a little bit better.
Well,
But
there you go.
so, what is something from the 80s you're embarrassed that you absolutely loved? That you're like, man, how could I have ever been into that?
There's so many options. But the crazy thing is they've all come back around.
That's exactly
I never had a mullet, which means I'm probably not actually a creasy. Like, I think you have to have a mullet. In fact, my hair, when it grows out long, it like tries to grow one just naturally because it's in the DNA.
It's in the genes, man.
But all those things come back. Probably, when we were little kids, and of course, there's a picture of us standing on our grandparents' porch, and I'm wearing basically a diaper.
Yes.
But we had the short shorts. We were just right on. And so when we were little kids and we got out of, the onesies or whatever, the short shorts were there and the tall socks.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that's back now that I thought would be gone and stay gone. But, even towards the end of my coaching career, I had to get on the boys to like stop rolling their shorts up at the top and making them shorter. And I'm like, listen, man, nobody, we don't want to be blind today from the white brightness of those legs. And there's probably tall socks, I guess.
Yeah.
That was a thing, and man, why?
Well, we talk about these shifts, I guess paradigm shifts or whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to call them, but where you have like from one extreme to the next, and it's like there was those short shorts, and then by the time we were teenagers, there was these shorts that were like halfway down your shin bone, and it was like there was no in between land. It was short, and then all of a sudden it was to the shins. And you look at any of those pictures from back then, you're like, man, and I've still got some of those really long shorts.
Yeah.
And it's almost to the point like, I wore them that long? I guess I did. And my kids will make fun of me when I put them on every now and then. So that's definitely one of them. So what would you like to what are some things you think you'd like to bring back? What's a trend you'd like to bring back?
Oh man, morals? No, I'm just kidding. The
Hmm.
'80s,
I don't know if
the
the
'80s,
'80s is a
the
high,
'80s,
high
the '80s are so funny because in some ways they were just absolutely wild, and you might
yes.
see some. I don't think the rating system for movies and television shows were quite in place. But like you look at the horror movies, and if you did something like that was immoral in a horror movie, you were donezo. Like that was just one of the rules. Like you are going to die. Freddy is going to get you. Jason's going to get you. That's probably not something I would bring back, but it did instill kind of this quasi respect for each other. I guess like people just didn't get offended by a whole lot. It was like people just I don't like that. Okay, I'm just not going to do it. And
Yeah.
like kind of moved on. And now it's just offended about everything. And I probably would just get instead of bringing something back, I'd probably just get rid of social media.
That's a good
Um,
point.
I'd probably just get rid of social media. And I love social media. That I'm being a complete and utter hypocrite. Um, But we ran around as kids and well into our 20s and maybe even 30s before we were just really consumed with what somebody that I'll never interact with face to face has to say.
Yeah.
And I wasn't consumed by there's the cat, consumed by who's in the leadership and who's doing this or who's doing that. And that may just I'd bring that back to me personally. I'm sure there were people who cared in the '80s about that stuff,
Right.
but it
We
wasn't such
didn't
a
for
division.
sure.
Yeah, it wasn't such a division.
So, any particular movie, and this can be '80s or '90s, because we probably got into the movie more in the '90s that just really shaped you,
Oh man,
or like
it's more
this
like
is my thing.
terrified me. '80s movies, I was traumatized by just the trailer of Arachnophobia, and then of Aliens. Anything like that was scary. Me and Bruce hanging out. Um, but probably Batman '89, Michael Keaton.
Oh,
I
that's a
remember
good
for like the whole school year following that, I just walked around like the Joker
yes.
with a big smile on my face, which I'm sure made all the girls just love me to death. I also remember riding to school at Forest Hills and hearing the Robin Hood song, "The Everything I do it for you."
You got a
That
little
was
Brian
very
Adams.
very influential in my romantic side as a third or fourth grader.
Dude, that was a great movie song. Maybe one of the best. Like, it just fit the movie. The movie was fantastic, and the song was awesome. I think I've heard people like dissing that movie in recent years, and I'm like, really? Because that's like, man, that one was in my mind one of the greatest movies when I was a kid. And then of course you got, I mean, Morgan Freeman's in it. Kevin Costner. I mean, it's a great little set of people in it. Um, but a lot of the things my kids the other day even were like, does Travis know how much like he's like Ace Ventura? I was like, or not Ace Ventura, but Jim Carrey. I was like, yes, I'm pretty sure he does because he pretty much has watched every one of his
You're like,
movies.
I've seen worse. I've
I've
seen him
seen
worse.
all of it. All right, so last question. Kind of a fun question. I don't know if we have a something question of the day or if this is just a kind of last
It's
minute
just you,
question.
baby.
Just me. So, what jingle can you sing from the 1980s? Just any particular jingle that lives rent free in your head
Oh
that
my
you can just
goodness.
pop up at any point, or
How much
15 of
time
them.
do you have? Spider Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out. Here comes the Spider Man.
Gotta do a little Aerosmith part in there.
Yeah.
Spider Man's a good one.
And just a good old boys. Never,
Oh, yeah.
never mean no harm. Uh, my mama can't understand why they keep a show in my hands and not my face on TV.
Right.
Man,
That Jefferson Pilot.
Yeah.
game of the week? Was that the dun da 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 da, or is
That's the
that
CBS.
CBS? That's
Yeah,
CBS, isn't it?
CBS. I'm trying to think of some more.
I know if you hear Unsolved Mysteries theme,
Yeah.
I know
To
what
this
comes to
day, I
your
won't
mind.
sleep. So
Just hearing the jingle, just hearing the song of it coming on. I mean, there's so many great sitcom um, jingles from then. So many commercials, and you were mentioning commercials earlier, or movies and different things that haunt you. And I was thinking, and it went hard. You know, like the cartoons that went hard. Commercials went hard in the 80's. Like, I mean, there was some stuff that you're like, they really got away with throwing that stuff out there. Every now and then
yeah,
run across TikToks or something that'll have some of those old, I don't even know where they dig these things out,
yeah.
but they'll find these old commercials, and I'm like,
And they
I
have the
remember that
emotional ones,
commercial.
man. Like they're selling you coffee, and you're like emotionally like,
Yes.
what a beautiful commercial. And we're kids,
Yeah.
like we're not even supposed to get hit with feelings like that. But it was just like, my goodness, I want that coffee if it's going to make every morning like Christmas morning.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic stuff. Well, it's been fun to walk through the 80's with you. A little memory lane for Travis's 45th
45th,
birthday.
and down here in Dothan, they have billboards of when celebrities turn 45, and it's a colonoscopy commercial. So
Well, have fun with that.
Brittany turned
So
45 today. She needs to schedule her colonoscopy appointment, or so.
so this podcast brought to you by get your colonoscopy done for your 45th year. If you haven't done that, health is important. So we're
I'm
the
old enough to
Helping
remember when it
Healing
was
Humor.
50, and I was like counting down, like, okay, I've got a few more years, and then they bumped it up on me. So
No, you'll get some good sleep with it. You'll also get a good cleaning out with it. So whatever it takes. Welcome to the 40's. So
we certainly hope everybody has a great Holy Week. We're getting into Good Friday. That's the actual day, April 3rd, my birthday. And of course, it's Good Friday for many more important reasons. But nonetheless, I certainly appreciate it, Ben. And we'll be doing this for you in July. So
that's
good
true.
old 46. I can't let you off the hook without reminding you of
That's
that.
right. I'm a little bit older. So well, happy birthday to you. Thankful that you're still hanging around with me, and whether it's the 80's, 90's, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, hopefully we get a few more of these decades in that we get to hang out and do some cool stuff together.
I love you, man.
Love you. Have a good one. Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.